Hey everyone, so in today's video, I wanted to talk to you guys about the emotion hatred. And most people don't want to admit that they experience or that they might feel emotions of hatred because maybe that would make them a bad person for feeling that way. So in today's video, I want to address that. I want to talk about what is hatred, the purpose of hatred, how to release hatred, and really show you and teach you how to do this. And I might even share my experience with you. Generally, the church does not like to talk about lower, dense emotions, such as hatred, because they tend to be guilt-ridden to even express that they would hate something. And that is really just a lack of knowledge and not understanding what emotions really are. And here's the thing, if you are not cleaning up this hatred, if you are not renewing your mind like it talks about in Romans 12, 1 and 2, then you are either repressing emotions or you're suppressing them. And that is not wise. And I'll explain why. So when I'm talking about repressing emotions, it's unconsciously blocking unwanted thoughts. It's unconsciously blocking impulses, thoughts. But when you're suppressing emotions, that's entirely voluntary. So it is like, I'm not going there. I'm not dealing with that. I am just going to sweep it under the rug, and I'm going to secretly suffer, and I'm going to secretly hate, and this is how a lot of people live, is they especially around religious groups, like Christian groups, like any type of religious sect, like there's so many of them, they live repressing and suppressing because they don't want to be a bad person. They don't want to be punished by God, depending on what kind of beliefs that they come from. So let's talk about what is hatred. Hatred is an intense emotional response. And let's look at Wikipedia and what it says about hatred. So it says hatred is an intense negative emotional response towards certain people, things, or ideas, usually related to opposite or revulsion towards something. Hatred is often associated with intense feelings of anger, contempt, and disgust. Hatred is sometimes seen as the opposite of love. All right, let's discuss this a little bit. So our goal is to always move from a state of fear into a state of love. We have all these perceptions, like the truth is, we are love. We are one with God. We have never been separated from God. We've always been one with Him. But yet we have perceptions that tell us that we have fears, and those are perceptions. It's all coming from filters of what we're believing about ourselves, from past experiences, right? From memories, and all those perceptions. We've got to clean up those perceptions so that we are aligning with love. We are seeing the way God sees. And we know the Bible says that if we have fear, it's because we haven't been perfected in love. So anything that we have at a subconscious level, any beliefs, we get to transform that into love. The goal is to renew your mind, to transform any kind of distorted perception, how you see yourself, how you see another person, transform that and see the way God sees. He sees that you're one with Him. You've never been separated from Him. But except in your mind, all of this is taking place in your mind. You think you're separate from Him. You think that you are not good enough. You believe that you're not successful, and so therefore you're not successful. We get to change that. We get to transform our mind to seeing the way God sees, right? And the Bible also talks about knowing no man after the flesh. And the reason I'm talking about all these things is because hatred, it usually is between people. It's between groups. And yes, it can be toward circumstances. It can be toward certain things, like certain foods, like it's just this hatred. But you can change that, because that is still programming. If you hate a certain food, it's your programming. You can change You can change it that there's not this hatred. You get to operate, you get to, instead of looking at life from a distorted perception, you get to view it from a lens of love. That's your choice. Nobody can do that for you. It's completely up to you. You get to decide life or death. It's up to you. The Bible also talks about knowing no man after the flesh. So we get to see other people the way God sees them. We get to view them not after the flesh, not after them like losing their cool on you, you know, like or abusing you, hating you. I want you to notice if you're experiencing hatred on the inside of you because someone has violated your boundaries, they have abused you, and you are feeling this hatred. No man after the flesh. You get to change how you see this person on the inside. You get to see them the way God sees them. And you do that by cleaning up your mind, by cleaning up past memories, past associations. You get to clean up the trauma, past experiences, so that your mind, because your brain will always go to gather information from past experience. But here's the thing, you get to change those past experiences into something, into love. You get to transform it into peace. And that way, when your brain goes back to retrieve information for the present moment, it's going to go back and you're going to feel safety. You're going to feel peace. You're not going to be in that same old vibration of those past experiences. Even though the past doesn't exist, right? The past doesn't exist, but yet our brain will still go and use past experiences for our present moment. That's the way our brain works. That's the way our nervous system works. So there's a story I want to tell you to illustrate what hatred does, so that you can begin to release this hatred from your life instead of repressing or suppressing it, okay? There was a Christian lady who hated lesbians. She did not like them. And what ended up happening with her is like wherever she would see them, she would dislike them holding hands. She would dislike this. And she spent a big part of her life thinking about it. And guess what? And through various circumstances, she became a lesbian. And here's the thing, she became, when you hold a really strong vibration towards something, you're expressing that you're very passionate about that topic, that you are so passionate about it. And she became a vibrational match for it, and she became that. So that very thing that you hate, that very thing that you don't want, you're becoming a vibrational match for it because that is your focus. That is where you're putting your energy. Let's also look at this image. So all the emotions, they carry a certain frequency. And the really, you could see the heavy emotions on the bottom, like powerlessness, unworthiness, and shame. Those are really, we're going to talk about shame a little bit in this video. They're really low, dense emotions, the stuck feeling, fear, grief, self-loathing. And you can see that hatred is a -9 on this scale. It's a really low vibration, but we need to be able to allow that emotion to move through us, not in, like in a negative way, but to be able to not react out of hatred, but to be able to allow, to look at it, to see what is there, because underneath hatred is deep pain. It is a wounded part of yourself. There is a part of yourself that is deeply wounded. And so you can see that hatred is a really low vibration. And you can see that the highest vibration here is joy. It's expressing joy, love, freedom, gratitude. If you want to raise your vibration in any way at all, express gratitude, start walking around, start being thankful, like look around your house, start expressing gratitude by the simple things around you, and you'll begin to raise your vibration and you'll become a vibrational match. And the reason you want to raise your vibration is because that's what you're going to become a vibrational match for. Instead of being a vibrational match for hatred and attracting that very thing you don't want, what if you would look at the most simple things in your life? Like look at, if you're looking at your furniture And you might be like, oh, I love my furniture. I love my decor. Well, guess what? You're becoming a vibrational match for that. You're going to experience more of that because you are inviting that in. And here's the thing, it's totally up to you what you are becoming a vibrational match for. All right, so let's, and when we, these emotions, emotions are not good or bad, and they all carry a frequency. And if you are carrying lower dense emotions, it is causing dissonance in your body. Dissonance leads to dis-ease in your body. It leads to a lack of ease in your life, and it creates dis-ease in your body. Okay, so that's where illness begins to start, and it starts at a vibrational point. It starts at a vibrational level. So if we do not clean up hate, if we do not look at why, because hate is indicating something to us, right? It's an indicator emotion. So it's indicating something, that there's pain, that there's a woundedness. And if we don't clean that up, it will lead us to destruction. It will lead us to stealing, killing, destroying, right? Doesn't that sound like that scripture? The enemy comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. But Jesus said, I have come so that they may have life, and life more abundantly. And here's the thing, Satan's a defeated foe, but where's the battle? It's here, it's in your mind. And we get to either heal ourselves or kill ourselves. We get to choose life, or we're choosing death. And if you're not choosing, guess what? By default, you already have a vibration, and that's what you'll get more of. So let's talk about what causes hatred. According to psychologists, the cause of it is the perception of feeling threatened. I want you to think about this for a bit. It's the cause of feeling, it's the perception of feeling threatened. I recently worked with my coach, and who is absolutely brilliant. And she got me to write out a list of all the ways that I felt threatened growing up, and how that manifested in my life. And I could see so clearly how I was threatened as a little girl. And now I was becoming a vibrational match for continuing to feel threatened in certain ways. And it was like, it matched up perfectly. So what I did was I started releasing everything in my childhood where I was threatened, so that I can become a vibrational match for love rather than hatred, right? So boy, did I have a long list. I had a long list. I'm still working on that list of all the ways that I was threatened and how it manifested in my life. So a threat is a statement of an intention to inflict pain, injury, damage, or hostile action. So what do we do when we find ourselves with hatred? What do we do when this emotion of hatred comes up? Well, the first thing we do is stop. Stop, because it's such an intense emotion that you want to react out of it. Stop. Just stop. Instead of reacting, guess what? You have the ability to respond. Responsibility. And that's your responsibility. Your responsibility is that you have the ability to respond. And you do that by stopping first and asking yourself some questions. And I'm going to list the questions here. So what I want you to do is I want you to stop, and I want you to ask yourself these questions. What threat does this thing pose to me? And then I want you to make a list. What of all the reasons, like, what is this? What is the threat? What is the threat that's coming up for me? And there could be several threats that you might be feeling. Maybe you don't feel adequate enough. Maybe you don't feel capable enough. Maybe you don't feel good enough. And I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of those beliefs are going to come from childhood associations. The second question I want you to ask is, how is it hurting me? So what you're going to do is you're going to discover the wound. You're going to discover how that's hurting you. So instead of reacting, you're going to clean up how you're feeling inside of you. Instead of going outside of you, you're going to look within. You're going to, remember, you're going to kill yourself. You're going to cause destruction, or you're going to heal yourself. And you're going to release yourself from that deep pain, from that wound where this hatred is coming from. So the third thing you're going to do is you're going to ask, what part needs to be integrated? So from asking the question, what is hurting you? You're going to discover a wound. You're going to keep on asking yourself questions. What about this? Like, why am I feeling this way? Where is this coming from? You're going to continue to ask these questions, and it will lead you to a childhood memory. And what you're going to do is you're going to look and you're going to see this part of yourself, that part of yourself that needs integrating. So for me, I see this little girl who is struggling, who's hurting, who's in a lot of pain. She's being made fun of, and she doesn't feel safe. So when I see that little girl in my mind, I get to go and comfort her. I get to hold her. I get to love her. I get to teach her who she is. I get to show her how important she is, how special she is. I get to love her. I get to hug her. I get to hold her. That's shadow work. You're going to look at that part of yourself where they were wounded, where they were hurt. So ultimately, you want to be able to look at that inner child, that part of you that is hurt, that is wounded, and you want to integrate her back with love, with who she's always been. And remember, it's really a sub-personality. It's a perception of beliefs that you hold at a subconscious level. So how do you know when someone is threatened by you? How do you know when someone doesn't like you, when they hate you? So if some indicators are, they will call you names, they will attack you. There's going to be like endless complaints. They'll be cruel to you. And most of the time it's obvious, but sometimes it's done very covertly. So it's going to be very subtle. You might not even notice it. But recently I had to set a boundary with a family member, and I stated that I was not going to divulge certain information. And this person did not like that boundary. She didn't like it at all. She started calling me names. She started threatening me. She started using tactics of manipulation. And here's the thing. Now, if you are on the receiving end of hatred, you can either perpetuate this cycle or you can break this cycle altogether. And that's up to you. You get to keep on going with this family pattern, with this vicious cycle, or you could break it. And you don't have to play the game. And the truth is, just renew your mind, clean up what's going on inside of you. So when my family member attacked me, I could have gone back and I could have bitten her head off. I could have gone back. I could have said mean things to her. But when you're on the other end of it, you get to clean up your mind. You get to notice, okay, so how does that make me feel? What is that bringing up in me? And then you get to work with and release what that's bringing up in you. So it might be the past memories, it might be associations, whatever that's bringing up in you with them hurting you. According to the book, The Language of Emotion, hatred means that you have lost all boundaries, that they are all gone. And boundaries, whenever we're working with the emotion of anger and shame, it has to do with boundaries. So anger has to do with feeling violated. So someone from the outside has come in to violate you. They have violated your boundaries. They've come to abuse you. And so anger steps up to indicate to you that you've been violated, that it has crossed your boundary, right? So that's when anger comes up. But shame is about the boundaries that you have with yourself. So shame comes up as an indicator so that you won't abuse other people. So remember, these emotions, they're not good or bad. They're indicators. They're telling you, they're indicating to you, they're communicating to you, this is what's going on, right? So it comes up so that shame comes up so that you won't abuse other people. And you get to, once again, clean up your mind, renew your mind, change the way you see yourself, change the way you see people. And we know that it starts with us. It always starts with us and it ends with us. We are the ones who get to clean up our mind. We get to choose. And when you step into this emotion of hatred, your anger and shame boundaries are dismissed and you are ready to attack, because it's a very strong emotion when this hatred comes up. But you still get to choose how you respond. So when you have the emotion of hatred, the solution is to do shadow work. And that is working with that part of yourself that is deeply in pain, that is deeply wounded. You're not going to, reacting with this hatred, reacting out of this hatred will never fix anything. It won't fix any problems. And I want you to resolve that in your mind already. I want you to see that. I want you to notice that it's really the truth is the reason you want to attack is because you want to feel better. You want to express something so deeply, but it's still never going to fix anything. It is never the solution, even though you desperately want to feel better. And so you're feeling this hatred and you want to be able to express it and react. It never fixes anything. In fact, it will destroy relationships and it doesn't solve anything. So it doesn't fix the problem. So you want to look within, you want to look at that wounded part of yourself, that part of yourself that is in pain. Recently, I did some shadow work with my coach, and I also hire a coach. I could do this inner child work too, and I do. But I also hire out for this because I think it's so powerful to be guided in this. And it's amazing the insights that other people have for you. So in this session with my coach, I got to diffuse this anger. I got to rescue my inner child. When I was a little girl, I was made fun of a lot. And it was by people that I was supposed to be able to trust, people that I was supposed to depend on. And I couldn't, because those were the people in my home and they made fun of me. And and it happened often. It happened lots. And I developed several beliefs in there, several perceptions about myself because of how I was made fun of. Anyway, I got to pull that inner child out of that. I got to tell her who she was. You get to, when you pull her out of there, or him, you get to pull them out of that situation and you get to tell them how beautiful they are, how loved they are, who they truly are. That you are one with God, and you can talk to them, you can kiss them, you can hug them, you can tell them that they are one with God, that they are one with love. And you can have these are some of the most beautiful experiences when we do this inner child work, this shadow work. So if you are interested in learning how to do some of the most powerful inner child work, or to have one-on-one experiences with me, please sign up for a session. I also have a free breakthrough session that you can sign up for. So that is like 20 minutes that you get to spend with me. You get to ask me any questions that you want to ask me, and I can help you answer certain questions or whatever you want. Or maybe you just want to get to know me. I would love to hear from you. I would love for you to sign up and get to know you. I also have a free Facebook group where you will find free EFT sessions right in there. I will link that in the description. I would love to also see you in that group. I hope that this video helped you. I hope you don't judge yourself for feeling hatred. I hope you allow yourself to feel it and then take action in a really healthy, respectful way. We don't have to build hate groups because that doesn't solve anything. We get to look at that painful part within ourselves and heal any wounds. We get to see ourselves the way God sees us, and we get to see people the way God sees people. I hope this video helped you, and I'll see you on a next video. Bye-bye.